What's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe below. Today, I'm gonna be doing a video all about everything I wish I knew before I went to Tulum. I just got back actually last week and it was so fun. Absolutely worth the hype in my opinion. Make sure to watch my Tulum vlog if you haven't seen it. But I feel like anytime you plan a trip in a foreign country, it's always kind of a gamble about, you know, where you're staying and like what to do and everything you should know. So I thought I would kind of do a video that gives you the lowdown, like everything that I wish someone had told me before. So first and foremost, getting to Tulum. I know that there is a smaller airport, but for the most part, you're gonna be flying into Cancun, and then Tulum is about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive outside of the Cancun airport. There's a few ways you can get to Tulum. You can like rent a car, you can get a driver, you can take the bus. Like personally, I took a driver and it was not that expensive. I think that you can honestly coordinate it at the airport, but just to make it easy, what I did is I used mydaytrip.com, and I'll link it down below, but it was so easy. Like no matter the size of your party, whether it's, you know, 1 traveler, 2 travelers, 7 travelers, like they have a ton of options. The driver picked us up at the airport, was super professional, spoke English really well. Everything was prepaid. I think we paid $105 total for 6 of us to go 2 hours, which is honestly like not bad at all. He even like stopped at a gas station for us and we picked up some snacks, some water. So highly recommend using that service. We also used them on the way from Tulum to Cancun to go home. So great experience with them, would highly recommend. But other than that, there's a ton of different driver options that you can find either at the airport or book it ahead of time. Also, when you land at the airport in Mexico, they'll give you a little immigration form. Make sure you keep that immigration form. They do not tell you anything about it. They do not make it clear that you need to keep it, but if you don't keep it, you'll have to either repurchase it or like you can't leave Mexico without it. So make sure that you don't throw it away. You're going to need it. Save yourself the headache. Second thing is, I think that a lot of people think of Mexico and they think of it's gonna be a cheap vacation. It's my US dollar is gonna go pretty far. And to be very clear, Tulum is very expensive. My group was not quite aware of how expensive Tulum was going to be. Your dollar is not gonna go as far as it will in other parts of Mexico. I would think of it, if you've been to Vegas or Miami, I would honestly think of it as comparable pricing to that. So this is not really the vacation if you're looking for a cheap beach vacation. This is more of like a luxury experience, and I'm sure that there are cheaper alternatives while you're there, but this is not going to be the cheapest destination that you could go to. I'm sure you'll notice that too when you start looking for hotels and places to stay. So speaking of that, where to stay? Where to stay? This is always a question. It's like, I feel like this is the hardest part, is figuring out where to stay in any foreign country. So to me, I think it depends on the type of trip you want to have. So if you want to be going out and like go to the main strip and be close to all the action, I would recommend staying closer to the strip. So what I did is we looked at hotels and their distance from like the places we want to go out. So Papaya Playa Project, Gitano, like we kind of like looked at hotels along those areas. If you don't, you're gonna be spending a little bit more in taxis. So it just kind of made sense to stay closer to where we wanted to be. I think we were maybe like 20 minutes, which wasn't terrible at all, but there can be a lot of traffic, especially at night with everyone trying to go out. So I would recommend staying a little bit closer to the strip if you want more of a party vibe. There are a lot of options for like villas that are more in the jungle. There's a lot of really, really cool places that you can rent out on Airbnb. I think that's a great option if you have a big group, but just know that you're gonna be taking more expensive taxis if you stay further away. And then if you want more of like a relaxing vacation, like I don't think it really matters where you stay. I would focus more on what your hotel looks like and, you know, location to the beach, things like that, rather than location to the nightlife. Let's talk COVID restrictions in Tulum. As you guys know, Tulum has been popping off. Like it has been the place to go, especially in 2020. Like I feel like everyone and their mom was going to Tulum, and celebrities, and it was just such a hot destination because there were no restrictions and people could go there and party, and it honestly seemed like COVID didn't exist over there back in 2020s. I guess in January 2021, like the local government implemented a curfew for Tulum. So everything shuts down at midnight. And when I say everything shuts down, like everything shuts down. The clubs kick you out, the bars kick you out, taxis stop running, food closes down, like the farm, like everything is shut down. Like they're not allowed to operate. And like you can still get a taxi home, like that's probably not gonna be like a huge concern, but much later than midnight, like you're not gonna be able to get a taxi home. So just keep that in mind. And there's like police there, like enforcing it, like making sure people are leaving. And this is strictly a COVID restriction. Like I don't know how long this will go on, but we didn't really know that when we planned our trip. I wouldn't say it really hindered our trip. Like it obviously, we would have stayed out later if this curfew wasn't in place, but I wouldn't say don't go to Tulum just because of this curfew. Like I still had a great time. I still thought it lived up to the hype, but I think it's just something to be aware of. Another COVID restriction is a lot of these bars and clubs and places like that, not everywhere, but like some places will make you check your phone. And what that means is like, they just don't want you taking photos or videos of the large gathering and all of that. So they physically like take your phone at like the entrance, and they write like the number of the coat check on your wristband, and they take it for the night. So I think like the coat check system was like very professional, and like I wasn't worried about someone stealing my phone, but it was more so the fact of like being in this like big, I don't know, venue and not having my phone felt a little weird. But again, just something to be aware of, something to note that not everywhere does this, but some places do this. Other COVID restrictions, I would say, if you're going back to the US, you do need a COVID test to get back in. There's so many rapid COVID test locations within Tulum that getting a test and getting your results in time should not be an issue at all. So don't stress about that. And then lastly, I would just say just bring cash. I think that that's something that we forget oftentimes, especially as Americans. Like we use our cards everywhere and it's just so easy, but a lot of places in Tulum especially are cash only or prefer cash. So just something to note. Otherwise you'll have to end up taking out cash when you're there. So might get a better exchange rate if you take it out at your local bank. That's really all I wanted to share with you guys. Knowing a lot of this stuff would have been helpful if I had known before I went to Tulum. I am not an expert by any means. I've literally been once and it was for like a few days, but I think that with any trip to a foreign country, it definitely helps having insight from someone who's been. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in my next video.